This is how to draw an Arduino circuit diagram online. A real schematic with an Arduino Uno on it, wired to real parts, right here in a browser tab. No install, no login, no credit card. On screen is a working circuit, an Arduino Uno, a sensor on an input pin, a pull-up resistor, and clean nets carrying 5 volts and ground. In the next few minutes, we will place an Arduino, wire it to an LED, a push button, and a potentiometer, label the pins, and then do the thing most drawing tools can't. Run a live simulation to check the wiring before you ever touch a real board. It is free, it runs in the browser, and you can follow along at CircuitDiagramMaker.app. First, the honest question you are probably asking: does this tool actually have an Arduino part? Or am I about to fake it with a box? It has a real one. There's an Arduino Uno symbol in the library, a labeled board block with its pin names, 5-volt and ground rails, digital pins, and the analog A pins down the side. So when I say we are drawing an Arduino circuit, there's a genuine Arduino Uno on the canvas, not a generic rectangle with Arduino typed on it. What is not is a photoreal picture of the board with every header hole. It is a schematic symbol, the pins you wire to labeled, which is exactly what you want in a circuit diagram. Fair is fair, so I'm telling you that up front. Here is the editor running in an ordinary browser. Down the left is the symbol library, Search Arduino, and the Uno board is right there, next to resistors, LEDs, buttons, potentiometers, and sensors. Across the top, Insert, Tools, Simulate, Export, and Share. On the right, a Properties panel that shows a part's value when you select it. To place a part, click the symbol, then click the canvas, and it snaps to the grid. Every wire you draw between two pins is a real electrical net, not a decorative line. The drawing knows what is connected to what. That is the whole point, and it is what lets us simulate the thing later. A picture-only tool can draw the same shapes, but it can never test them. Let's start with the hello world of Arduino, an LED on a digital output pin. Here is the classic stage, loaded straight in, a 5-volt supply, a current-limiting resistor, and an LED joined by clean right-angle nets. On a real Arduino, this resistor sits between a digital pin, say D13, and the LED, and it is the part that keeps the LED from burning out. The tool ships this one at 330 ohms. Anything from about 220 to 330 is the normal range for a 5-volt pin. Look at the wires. They route pin to pin at right angles, and the part that saves real time, drag the LED, and every net connected to it follows. Move it. Move the resistor, rearrange the board, and the schematic stays tidy. The connections are live, so the layout is yours to reshape and the wiring keeps up. Before we wire the Arduino to more parts, let's get the pins straight because that is where every Arduino diagram lives or dies. 5 volts and 3.3 volts are your power rails. GND is ground, the common return every part shares. The digital pins, 0 through 13, are your on-off inputs and outputs, an LED, a relay, a button. And down the side, 0 through A5 are the analog inputs, the ones that read a smooth range, like a potentiometer or a temperature sensor. Get those 4 groups right: power, ground, digital, analog, and the diagram almost draws itself. An LED goes on a digital pin through a resistor. A button goes on a digital input. A potentiometer's wiper goes on an analog pin. That is the whole grammar of an Arduino schematic. So let's use 2 of those. First, a real Arduino input circuit, loaded straight in. Here is the Arduino Uno, with a sensor on an input pin and a pull-up resistor holding the line high until the input pulls it low, the exact pattern you use for a button or a digital sensor. You can see the Arduino block, the signal net into the pin, and ground tying it together. 9 components, real nets, all editable. Now the analog side. Here is a 10 kilo ohm potentiometer wired to the Arduino, 5 volts on one end, ground on the other, and the wiper going into an analog input, a 0. Turn the knob in real life, and the voltage on that wiper sweeps from 0 to 5 volts, and the Arduino reads it. That is your volume knob, your dimmer, your dial, and it is on the schematic correctly wired in seconds. Now the part a picture cannot do. Simulation. There is a real SPICE engine built into the page. Open Simulate, and you get 3 analyses: DC operating point, transient, and AC sweep. Pick DC operating point and run it. Watch the diagram. Live node voltages and branch currents land right on the schematic. 5 volts on the supply rail, real numbers at the wiper and the pins, milliamps in the branches. Actual values, computed from the parts you placed. This is a sanity check on your wiring. If you tied a pin to the wrong rail, the numbers say so before you ever plug in a board. A 0 where you expected 5 volts is the fastest fault report in electronics. No meter, no smoke, no guessing. Transient and AC sweep sit in the same dialogue when you need a signal over time. This is the line between a drawing tool and an engineering tool. Once the wiring checks out, get out of the browser. PNG export is free. Drop the image straight into a report, a forum post, or your build log. On the free plan, it carries a small watermark, and I would rather tell you than have you find out. The vector and engineering formats, SVG, PDF, and DXF for CD, sit on the paid plan. That is the business model, plainly. You can also share a live link, so a teammate or a classmate opens the exact same Arduino circuit in their own browser. No install on their end either. For most hobby and coursework builds, the free PNG is all you actually need. So, why draw an Arduino circuit diagram online at all, instead of a desktop app? Because there is nothing between you and the work. No download, no license key, no operating system fuss. A real Arduino Uno symbol, an electrical library around it, and the part that actually matters, a simulator that checks your wiring before it costs you a board. It opens in the tab you already have on the machine you already own. Draw the Arduino, wire the pins, label the parts, simulate, export. That whole loop just happened in a browser tab. So don't take my word for it. Open the editor, search Arduino, drop in the Uno, wire an LED to a digital pin, and hit simulate. If it hasn't drawn a clean, checked Arduino circuit diagram faster than any install first tool within 10 minutes, you have lost nothing. It was free. It is at CircuitDiagramMaker app. No install, no sign up, no credit card. The link is in the description. Subscribe for a new circuits and wiring video every week. See you in the next one.